This is my second baby, my baby girl, Astrid. I had her 3.5-ish, almost 4 weeks ago now. And I just wanted to come on here and kind of record my birth story because I did it with my first and I like to just look back on it, especially, you know, when the details, sorry, she's so loud, when the details slip your mind. So I thought I better do it now before they start to slip away. Where do we begin? Let's begin with, you okay? Let's begin with the last few weeks of my pregnancy. Or maybe let's pick this up a bit later. Let's try that again. She's just down here chilling. I don't know where I was talking. The last few weeks of my pregnancy, because it was pretty dark, if I'm honest. Looking back, it feels ridiculous, but like in the moment, and it's not ridiculous if you're currently there, it's so very valid. It was very dark. So for a bit of context, I had my first completely spontaneously at 39 weeks on the dot. And because of that, I was getting told by pretty much every single person in my life, including doctors and midwives, which is the kicker, that I would most likely have her the same time, if not a little bit earlier. And so because of that, that's where my brain was thinking, and I got to 39 weeks, no baby, and then basically every day after that was in my brain. It was such a fight. Like, I was struggling so hard. Being pregnant the first time is rough. And then being pregnant while also looking after a toddler is just another level. Like, and my toddler, he is crazy. He's got a lot of energy. He's a runner, which basically meant I was housebound on the days that he was home with me because I couldn't chase after him. I could barely get on the floor and play with him. It was just rough. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't really play with him. I was grumpy. I was uncomfortable, and I was just so over it. And it was a really, really, really dark couple of weeks for me, and actually for us, for me, my husband, this household in general. It was a pretty miserable place to be, if I'm honest. And then I got to my 40-week appointment, still no baby, wasn't able to get a stretch and sweep because nothing was ready. And after that, it was like really awful to hear at the time, but I was kind of like, okay, so I'm getting induced. I had my 41-week appointment booked, and I was just like, okay, so I'll go to that appointment, and then a few days later I'll be induced. And that's where my headspace was at, just because it had to be. Because I had to have some kind of plan in place, and I just had basically given up that I would go into labor spontaneously. Now, obviously, so many people go overdue, and it's normal. It's just because of what happened with my first, and then it's just where my head was at. So anyway, I got to 40 plus 4, did the whole day. It was a day my son was in daycare, so it was just me at home. Just had a normal day. The dog and I went for a very small walk, which I had been doing sort of to try and help induce labor, but at that point it was more to get me out of the house, and like I could go and take it very, very slow and go on a very, very short walk. Clean the house, clean the kitchen a bit, and just potted around, and then didn't really do much at home. And then my husband got home with my son. I was putting mine and my son's dinner on the table, and I took a step sideways away from the table and quickly had to cross my legs because I was like, oh, I've either just pissed myself or my water just broke. Now, keep in mind, I have had absolutely zero signs that day that labor was coming. With my first, I was contracting for 6 hours, and then my water broke, and then we went to the hospital. So I quickly waddled up to the bathroom and checked what was going on, and sure enough, my entire mucus plug fell out, which I didn't see that with my first, so that was interesting. And it was my waters. So I quickly changed and put a pad on and stuff, and then we went back to the kitchen table and we ate dinner because we still had to do that and feed our son and all of that. And while I was there, sitting there, I was like, okay, I'm pretty confident my water just broke, so I'm gonna message my mum and my sister and get whoever is around to come so they can put my son to bed. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat my dinner, and then if I stand up and more stuff comes out, definitely my waters have broken. So did all that. My sister was coming around, stood up, yep, more stuff came out. I quickly went to the bathroom and called the hospital. They said, yep, just take your time to come in, but definitely come in because we need to check that it's your waters and blah, blah, blah. So my waters broke at 5:45 p.m. and everything happened in the next hour. We got to the hospital at 6:45 p.m. because I remember checking the time when we like entered the maternity area. That's kind of the last time I have it for a little while, but basically we went in there. I'm just trying to remember. In that hour between my water breaking and getting to the hospital, I did start to contract, but it was like super mild, and like if I wasn't watching out for it, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. I'm just checking my notes because like that night I was like in the hospital bed writing this up. So they took me straight to the assessment clinic. They checked that it was my waters, like took my pad and stuff, and they were like, that's your waters. Babies, they put the straps on me and they were just monitoring me and the baby. The baby's heart, it feels weird saying the baby when she's next to me, but that's just how I've written it. The baby's heart was decelling when I was having contractions, so they kept me on the monitors for a while, and then eventually they were like, if it keeps happening and they're not happy, then they might need to start talking about and prepping for a C-section. In my brain, I knew that wasn't gonna happen. I don't know why. I just knew that wasn't gonna be what was about to happen. But basically the way I was sitting, I was like sitting on the hospital bed with my legs straight and like slightly reclined, and I said to the midwife, I said, look, this might sound really silly, but I never ever sit like this. Can I just change positions and see what happens? And she was like, yeah, go for it. So I sat up way more, just like how I normally would, and wouldn't you know it, baby's heart rate was normal again. So maybe she was just laying on the cord or something like that. I don't really know. At this point, my contractions were about 4-ish minutes apart. So when they saw that on the thing, I wasn't timing them or anything. When I got to the hospital, don't know. They were like, okay, you're not going anywhere. So they moved us to a birth suite, and basically as soon as they moved us to the birth suite and we got our stuff sorted, my contractions started to get so intense. They eventually got to 2 minutes apart. Brett was like watching the monitor, Toco maybe? Like the number goes up when you're having a contraction. He was watching that, so he was like keeping a little bit of track of how often they were. When they were about 2 minutes apart, they were really painful, and then not long after, like I say not long after, I have no idea. When they got to about 1 minute apart, they were absolutely excruciating, and yeah, it was just, if you know, you know, you know. This is where I have times again, and keep in mind, water broke 5:45 p.m. At about 10:50 p.m. I was starting to feel the urge to push. Like it wasn't, it wasn't like I have to push or like my body's taking over and pushing. I was like starting to feel that I was about to be pushing. It's actually funny, at 11, this was at about 11 p.m. I had 2 midwives in the room because they were actually like swapping shifts. And so they were going through where everything was at, blah, blah. And then I was having a contraction, and mid that contraction, out of absolutely nowhere, I started screaming like a banshee. I was pushing. I could feel exactly where her head was, which that did not happen with my first, with Anson, but I could feel exactly where it was and what was happening down there, and that was crazy. So yeah, at 11 p.m. it just started. I was pushing, screaming like a banshee, like it just took over. And at 11:21 p.m. she was born. So I felt where her head was and where she was, well, I guess it's just her head really, the entire 20 minutes that I was pushing. I don't think I really took a breather, like there wasn't a break. It was just me pushing. At no point did I get a cervical check, because the midwives were like, just let us know if you want us to do one, but otherwise just trust your body. So yeah, 20 minutes of pushing, and she was born at 11:21. So less than 6 hours of labor in total, which my son was 12 hours in total. She was under 6. So yeah, I had a 2nd-degree tear. I had used absolutely no pain meds, and not even any pain, like I didn't use a TENS machine or a comb or anything, and I didn't use my first either. It just didn't cross my mind. And because it didn't happen, I didn't use it my first, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to have 2 unmedicated births, and I did. So yay for me. And I had a hemorrhage, a small hemorrhage with my first, but I had no hemorrhage with her. So that actually has helped my recovery a lot. I did use the gas and air while they were stitching me up because for me, that is, I don't know, it's a different kind of pain, but it's way more uncomfortable because it's someone else in there poking around, whereas me giving birth, I'm just pushing her out, you know? It's different for me. And both times with my son and with her, I had the gas and air only for when they were stitching me up. That's her birth story, guys. That's how this little lady entered the world. It was quick, it was intense, but she arrived so safely. I'm fine, she's fine, we're fine. And I am never doing that again. Yep. Our family is complete. We are happy with 2. We've got a boy, we've got a girl, 1 each. We're not outnumbered, you know, like, we are happy, we are content, our family is complete. So for those nosy people like me who love a good birth story, I hope that was good enough for you. We're so happy. Astrid is the only name we ever had before we even knew she was a girl. We never ever had a boy's name for this one. When we found out she was a girl, we were like, sick, I guess her name's Astrid. And then she came out and luckily we both agreed she looked like an Astrid. And yes, she has a lot of hair. My son did not have this much hair when he came out, so that was a bit of a shock. That's the birth story of little Astrid.